Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything coming at you with another flight school video for Blood Red Skies. In this video, we're going to be talking about aces and multi-engine aircraft. Alright, now, the rules for achieving ace status were established during the First World War when famous pilots were followed in the newspapers and things like that. 5 confirmed air-to-air victories established you as an ace. Hundreds of pilots became aces in the Second World War due to the vast scale of the aerial conflict. Proportionately, the number of aces different air forces produced stayed roughly the same, and only about 5% of their combat pilots became aces. Now, in this box game, any pilot created with pilot skill 5 is classed as an ace, allowing you to use ace cards in the action deck. Okay, so in the pilot skill, if they have a 5, they're considered an ace. When building your force using points, ace is 100 points. And an ace can choose one ace skill card from those available. And here's the ace skill cards. Like this ace has a specific card. But he's this guy right here. But there might be other aces. Other aces will have like random cards. So 5 core ace skill cards are included in the Battle of Britain. Ace skills are exceptional because they are played in addition to trait cards on an aircraft during its activation. Many ace skill cards can only be played on ace pilots, and some can be played on other friendly or enemy aircraft. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these real quick. We've got accurate. You play on the friendly ace during their activation. Roll 1 extra firepower. Nice. Slippery. If your ace is being attacked, count the ace as having a skill of 6 for dodging. Tactical wizard. You play this during deployment. When rolling to determine the starting advantage level of all airplanes in the ace's element, he can add 2 to the die roll. That's awesome. All of his guys will be at advantage most likely. Play on a friendly ace, overshoot. Roll a pilot test. If he succeeds, the ace may move his aircraft between 1 inch and half speed. Radically slows their aircraft. Okay, so 1 to half. That's nice. He's like not moving at all. Hopefully what they're saying is if you're behind him, you'll overshoot him. Because I was thinking overshot meant you would overshoot your opponent, so it adds that, but it doesn't. It means you could do a boop. Okay. Lightning reaction. Before you activate, he counts as having a 6 for the purposes of determining turn order. Master Tactician. When an ace can make a pilot action. Do. A paragraph. When choosing an outmaneuver pilot action, the ace may attempt to outmaneuver 2 enemy aircraft. Both targets are allowed to make their maneuver tests to avoid the attempt, regardless of the respective pilot skills. Okay, so even though he's probably got a higher pilot skill, they still get a chance to resist because he's doing it on 2. Basically, he's splitting his skill to 2. True Grit. In reaction to the ace failing a hit, dodge. The ace makes an immediate pilot skill roll. If 1 success is rolled, the ace does not lose an advantage level. If 2 or more successes are rolled, the ace does not lose an advantage level or gain the boom chit. Wow. Snapshot. On a friendly ace. If the ace makes a deflection shot, it cannot be dodged using speed, only agility. Dive Master. On an ace, when burning advantage to dive, make a pilot test. If success, no advantage is burned for diving. Nice. Okay, now what they're saying, when you buy a box set like Pretty, and he comes with his own ace pilot card, right? It tells you he's 125 points, not just 100, and he has pilot skill of 5, okay, normal, right? He gets a signature trait of +1 dodge, so like evasion. So his plane gets a +1. So even though he's in a Mustang with a 2, it has a 3 because Pretty is in it. And he gets these 2 ace skill cards, Snapshot and Dive Master. Adolf Galland gets 6th Sense and Snapshot. And I'm sure there's a whole lot of other aces out there that will be coming out. Yeah, so when you build your deck, and if you have an ace out there, then you just add 2 more cards to your deck for every ace you have. What that means is there'll just be more cards coming up for play. Most of these can only be played on the ace plane, or in reaction to an ace plane getting shot at, or shooting, or maneuvering. If you have 2 aces, then you could play that card on either one of them. You get the idea. Alright guys, that's it for aces. Now let's talk about multi-engine planes. Alright, there is the Blenheim. It's really a token. I personally plan to get some 200 scale models, and I'll put them on bases. I'll figure out a way to do it. But the Blenheim goes on a base, and you can see, you could put the base here if you want, just to show it, so that you can show his advantage, disadvantage state. Or you could maybe poke a hole in the center of this card, or you could get an actual model and put it on here. On some of the heavy models, I might need to put like weight or something underneath, because there is a little bit of a gap underneath here. I might fill this with a metal or a coin or something to give it some, or a washer, to give it some weight, so that a washer might be the best idea. And then that'll give it some weight so it won't tip over with those heavier models. Okay, so there's about 100 rules for multi-engine. I'll go over each one. Multi-engine cannot outmaneuver or be outmaneuvered. So you can't use your outmaneuver skill, or they can't use it on anyone else, unless the multi-engine plane has agile, which would usually be some of the multi-engine fighters would have that. A shooting attack can be conducted against a multi-engine airplane regardless of its advantage state. So if this is at advantage and you're at advantage, you still could shoot it. Or if you're neutral, or if you're both at disadvantage. Multi-engine aircraft roll dice equal to their agility when attempting to dodge a shooting attack. Their pilot skill is not added. So you just roll 1 die. When dodging deflection shooting, it can still use its speed. But again, you're not using your pilot skill. And this doesn't apply to agile multi-engine. Hits generated by shooting on multi-engine airplanes reduce their advantage level by 1. From advantage to neutral, from neutral to disadvantaged. However, they do not generate boom chits for your team, unless the target is already at disadvantage. When a multi-engine airplane is already at disadvantage, is not shot down, and it is hit by shooting, it is instead place a boom chit that is generated on the airplane's base, representing direct damage. Once the number of boom chits on the airplane equals the number of engines, then it's shot down. So like if it's a B-17, that's got 4 engines, so it would take 4 boom chits to shoot it down after reducing its advantage. So it has a lot of health. It's at disadvantage, and you shoot it, 1 boom chit. And then the second one, because it's 2 engines, will finally shoot it down. A damaged multi-engine airplane may no longer be at advantage, so you can never climb up to advantage. It also reduces its top speed by 1 inch, and its tiebreaker speed by 50 miles per hour, and its turret firepower in every facing by 1 for every boom chit accumulated. A multi-engine airplane reduced to speed 0 crashes and counts as shot down. So in the case of a slow-moving plane that has more boom chits, that has more engines than speed, then if all the engines are shot out, it crashes, or if the speed is reduced to 0, it's crashed. Okay. When a multi-engine airplane is shot down, all of its accumulated boom chits are counted against the squadron's morale. So these boom chits over here are not counted against the team's morale until it crashes. And when that happens, you take all 15 of them, it probably doesn't have that many engines, you take all of them and you put them on that side and say, okay, there they go. However, multi-engine aeroplanes only break off when accumulated boom chits exceed their remaining number of engines. Okay, so if I had 6 of these guys, that would give me 12 engines. If I lose 3 guys, that means 6 boom chits, because 1 per engine. 6 boom chits would go on my side, but I'd have 3 planes left with 2 engines each for a total of 6. That doesn't exceed their remaining number of engines. So equal doesn't send them home. Multi-engine airplanes often have turrets or pintle-mounted weapons, like the B-17. When such an airplane is attacked with shooting, it can return fire with any turret pintle mount that can be brought to bear, as though it was a head-on attack. Pilot skill is not added. Okay, so I'm one guy, right? And this Blenheim has a 1 in 360 degrees. So if this guy attacks him, he shoots back head on. This guy attacks him, he shoots back head on. This guy attacks him, he shoots back head on. So that's good, but it's also bad because you're only rolling 1 die. When a multi-engine airplane completes its activation, it may shoot with its defensive armament against a single enemy airplane in range and arc. Each armament listed can target a different aircraft again. Pilot skill is not added. Okay, so the start of my turn, I shoot my turret, bang. I move over there, I use my turret, I shoot him, bang. Multi-engine airplanes with a firepower value conduct shooting attacks normally by adding their pilot skill to the number of dice rolled. Yeah, but that's considered a 360 because the DO has no dodge. That's pretty bad. But it does have a +1 rear firepower. So gets 1 all around, that's a 360, but it gets 1 extra in the rear arc. But it also has a vulnerable trait, and you can't not take it. There is a vulnerable card. This is a negative aircraft trait. Increase the firepower of the shooting attack by 1 before the dice are rolled. Okay, so it takes more damage. And if you're in the front or rear, it's got no defense. Wow. Alright guys, that's aces and multi-engine planes, and you'll be seeing a lot more of this in the coming future. Once I get these guys painted, I get my decals in, I get them put on, and I'm going to order some 1/200 scale planes. I found a bunch of places that have 1/200 scale planes all over the place. They're not necessarily designed for blood red skies, so we might have to work something out. Maybe I get some bases and put some magnets on there so that I could pop my planes on and off the bases pretty easily, or something. We'll figure it out. Alright guys, the next videos will be probably in a few days where I do some of the we play through some of the scenarios. And this is the end of the flight school. Thanks for watching.